certificates. It's on the title of the Los Angeles Times. It's on the face of the Constitution of the United States. And we use all capital letters. Why we use it? Because they're the most prestigious letters. We always write them in black, and we have the tradition of writing way before New York. Since the riots of '43, we also found identity by writing our names. And what we used to do in the riverbeds at that time, this was before me, this was my father's time. They used to collect tar. The river was full of tar seeping out of the ground, so they would collect it in a jar. Then they would use a stick, and underneath the bridges, they would write their names. Those tags can still be found today. They're very rare. Since then, the river was dug out, I think in the late 40s, early 50s, and about another 4 stories down, another 40 feet down. That preserved any access to the bridge. So those tar tags represent our history and are still evident today. There's a killer, 1945, and there's images of that. But what we do in a gang, there's usually a group. Not everybody writes. In a gang, there's usually the enforcer, the guy who likes to bust heads. There's the lover, the guy who's really, papi chulo, who's got all the girlfriends. Then there's the guy who has the best car. Then there's the guy who's the artist, who has the best hand script. He writes for everybody. And we just don't write just names anywhere. We only keep it within our territory. We don't go all city or all state. We keep pride within our community. And the pride is by keeping those lines and letters straight. We write them as beautiful as we can. Make them line over line. Try to make them as accurate. We flush left to flush right. We put the headline across the top. The body copy is the roll call of all the gang members. And then maybe the street or the person who wrote it down there at the bottom is the logo. Let me say something about headline, body copy, and logo. I've did about 15 years in top advertising agencies, mostly in the movies. I did a lot of movie titles. And that's when it occurred to me. I tagged since 1969 to almost 80 for 10 years. And I never really realized that graffiti was art until I started doing advertising. I started seeing the same similarities between the gang graffiti in the streets and laying out newspapers or magazine ads or billboards. That headline, body copy, logo is a format that goes back to ancient times. It's the way we communicate. It's the way we format our thoughts. It's laid out in books and everything that we read, everything of our history. I reviewed a museum show that had recently dug up clay tablets from Babylonia, from the early civilizations. And they had great fires, and what it did was harden the clay. So we still preserve these clay tablets written in the cuneiform. Even though I cannot read an ancient script, I wanted to see the format. And to my surprise, they were very, very similar. It had a headline, had a body copy of type, flush left, flush right, had indentations for paragraphs. Then the king's seal was down at the bottom. That format still continues today. The need to write our names has always been in all of history. The Egyptians tagged the pyramids. Pompeii was tagged by the Romans. Lord Byron tagged the Acropolis in Athens. Tagging is something that we all want to leave our name. Kilroy was here during World War II. The moon, one of the astronauts tagged his daughter's name on the moon. There's a tag on the moon. Let's talk about freedoms. The Berlin Wall. One entire side of the Berlin Wall was totally tagged. The side that represented democracy and freedom. Sometimes maybe you have too much freedom. The repressed side, the Russian side, that was blank. That was gray slate for years and years. There's a part of the Berlin Wall at the Ronald Reagan Memorial Library that I went there and I had taken a photograph. The Berlin Wall even represents a president, As another form of tagging was the First Lady, Nancy Reagan. She had formed a program, Dare to Say No to Drugs. The logo DARE was a a graffiti logo. Graffiti is something that really irritates many, many people. Is graffiti good? No, graffiti is not good. Do we need graffiti? No, we don't need graffiti. But it's part of the ills of society. If we're able to solve all the problems of our society, we would probably get rid of graffiti, but there's no way that we're ever going to solve and have a peaceful world. It is part of our need as an individuals to identify something. Graffiti gives us a moment where at that moment, we could leave our name for posterity. Graffiti is not only part of history, but it's going to continue all the way into the future. I once thought, what was the graffiti mentality in ancient times? I was in Istanbul at the Hagia Sophia, which was the cathedral of the Byzantine Empire of the 11th century. And I walked into this magnificent, beautiful building. And I said, all right, if I was the first crusaders who were young men, 15 to 25 years old, maybe even younger, they went in through there, and I know that they would have left their name. So I decided, where in this beautiful temple, this ancient temple, would I tag? So looking around the bottom, I go, no, not here on the sacred bottom floor. I walked up the steps, and I was leaning over this ancient balcony, and leaning over the side, looking down, realizing, where would a young man tag? Young man as myself, and where would I leave my name? I would leave it underneath this banister. And in looking underneath, I found hundreds of tags from the Crusaders, leaving their names in Roman letters and in numbers. So tagging fascinates me. I've been to 40 countries around the world. I've circumnavigated the earth, and I found the need of identity everywhere. The world is very, very, very small. There's no difference between cultures. Actually, there's no cultures. What I met was families, aunties, sisters, brothers. We are all the same people. And now with the computer, we are forming a sense of network. The future for us is being part of this matrix. Coming here to Kingsville, it's a small place. I've been to many major cities. Kingsville seems romantic in some ways. It's very, very peaceful here. It's very quiet. It seems that the far off distant, it seems like an island in the South Pacific in some ways. But to live here and to think that your neighborhood, just within a few miles around here, is wrong. It's not the way one should think anymore. Once you're connected, your neighborhood runs from Europe to Tokyo to Mexico City, all the way up to Canada. You know, it's easy because with the computer. Once you're connected, everything goes virtual. And then you need to be connected, and then everybody knows about Kingsville. Because the youth get out there and do art because it's an expression of passion. And that is what drives you. But I don't feel sorry for the youth anymore. With the computers, they have 7 technologies as the youth. And the youth can broadcast, they can publish, and they can record out of their bedroom. We never had that. That is the future. When you talk about culture, you're talking about the youth. This world is what, 40% of humanity is under 18 years of age? I'm not going to be here very long, but the future is about the youth. And if we do not engage the youth, we are all going to be left behind, because the future is about their vision. I wish I could live another 50 years because it's going to be a gorgeous world. We are coming close to the 2012, the ancient Aztec calendar of when the world is supposed to change. There's some destruction movies going out which are pretty incredible. I've seen them. But let me tell you what 2012 is going to be for all of us. It's going to be a change, a glorious change of a new world. It's going to be a positive change. It's going to speak about we are going to be united as a world